Kia ora and welcome. Coming up on the show today, we find out why we should be taking extra caution this summer as surroundings become drier and our temperatures get higher. And we take a deep dive into psychosis and how it's affecting our youth. This is Pitopito Kōrero, a show brought to you by the students of the New Zealand Broadcasting School. The start of the summer season has seen sparks fly and burst into flames. Emergency services have had their work cut out for them. Emily Ansell looks into how we can avoid a different kind of burnout in the future.
While the start of the festive season often begins with a bang, this year Canterbury's become a hotspot for celebrations that haven't quite gone to plan.
Firstly, can I acknowledge all the residents who are here. It's been an incredibly difficult period of time for you.
Fireworks caused 200 hectares of bush to be destroyed at Pegasus Beach last week, resulting in the overnight evacuation of 100 people.
When I looked out my awning, I thought, I'm a goner.
Yeah.
The fire was coming straight for me and I thought, I'm gone here.
While authorities were impressed with the community's response,
A massive thank you to everyone here that was evacuated.
emergency services are warning people to be vigilant over the coming months.
As everyone knows, we get the northwest winds, low relative humidity, so quite dry, and then we get the temperatures. On those particular days, we get the temperatures up in the mid to high 20s to 30s. That's when we start to have problems.
Fire and Emergency New Zealand are here at the AMP show today to spread this message with key information including escape plans and this 4x4 inflatable behind me, which demonstrates the amount of driveway space required for emergency services to reach your home. Hot and dry. These are the summers Canterbury is known for, and some of the locals are all too familiar with the worst of it.
That was before the fire. That's when we first moved here, so there was lots of trees.
Steph and her family moved into their Selwyn property at the end of 2016. 2 months later, it was surrounded by smoke.
What surprised me was the size of the fire. When I looked back in the evening and the whole of the hills above us were just orange, glowing orange, I just remember thinking, this is massive, and it got to there.
Steph fought the fire for 6 hours. Her husband fought for days, and the physical toll almost lost them their house.
I'd already said to him, and I regret this, and I think about it quite a lot, I'd said to him, just let it burn, it's not worth it for our health.
In the end, the house survived, but remnants of the fire remain, serving as a reminder of what summer can bring.
I wasn't apprehensive until a few days ago, and then the Pegasus fire made me think about it. But my husband pushed quite hard for us to put 100,000 litres of water behind the house.
Her message to Cantabrians: don't be complacent.
This summer, particularly with it being quite dry, I think be prepared. Having that small amount of water and a way to refill it from the generator and the well made such difference to sitting here in the house today, because it wouldn't be here otherwise. It was so close.
Emily Ansell, Pitopito Kōrero, Metro News.
Christchurch Airport has added a new element of inclusivity for those with hidden disabilities. I went to have a look at how it's going so far. Chaotic, busy, and often pretty noisy. Christchurch Airport is swarmed with foot traffic every day, from people catching flights left, right and centre. But for some, just stepping in the door can be a challenge.
Where do I go? What do I need to do? How much time do I need to allow? All that uncertainty plays into your anxiety.
You're spending quite a long time with a lot of noise, a lot of light, a lot of things happening around you.
Daniel Duke lives with social anxiety. He travelled via plane recently for the first time in 15 years. He says he felt uncertain and unprepared, a socially anxious person's worst nightmare.
I went to the airport not really knowing where to go, what to expect. I went and sat down thinking that all I needed to do was go and present my ticket when they called the fly. That uncertainty made me feel really anxious just sitting there.
Lanyard, and here is your little tag.
Christchurch Airport introduced sunflower lanyards, a tool people with hidden disabilities can use to help ensure they travel smoothly.
They can go through the airport and wear a lanyard that identifies that they may need help in the journey, and that's really, really helpful for us because we want to make sure everyone coming through our airport enjoys the journey.
But some are concerned that the lanyard may add to the stress of travel for some.
If the lanyards stand out too much, or people just feel like they're going to be judged from using them, it could actually exacerbate the amount of anxiety they're feeling.
I don't think most people actually understand what the lanyard is, so you're wearing them, it doesn't really draw that much attention to you. The people who do know what it means, they're generally pretty kind about it anyway.
Christchurch Airport say they've had good responses from the public.
It's been really successful so far, and we've already had over 50 applications just in the first week.
A step in the right direction so everyone can take part. Mackenzie Jennings, Pitopito Kōrero, Metro News. It's occurring across oceans, but for many here in Christchurch, the fight for action is real. Emily Ansell spent time with the local Iranian community to find out what they need from us.
It's easy to feel like it's so far away, limited communication sometimes providing insight through smaller screens. But for Iranians here in New Zealand, the reality doesn't end once they've stopped scrolling.
It really does something to your heart in a very physical way, because that level of a struggle is something that you don't see ever, you don't even imagine. And then when you hear it and you know that it's your people and it's in your mother tongue, it does something to your heart, it really does.
22-year-old Mahsa Amini was killed at the hands of Iran's morality police in September. The Iranian regime's violent crackdown on subsequent protests in the country have sparked rallies across the world, including here in Christchurch.
Democracy for Iran!
On top of her studies, discussions with family and friends about the situation are constant as she organises and participates in these demonstrations. In other words, the issue is never far from her mind.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about this. How am I going to talk to my lecturers about why I haven't been able to perform at the level that I normally do? How can I bring something so big like this into words that relate to my friends, you know, who see this in the context of an Instagram story, if at all.
And she's not the only one. Since the revolution began, the community here haven't stopped.
We are here to support our brothers, sisters and friends back in our country, in Iran, in our lovely Iran.
We're trying to have almost every second weekend. We had almost 5 at the moment, but we are going to repeat that, yes.
And they're calling on the New Zealand government to do more to condemn Iran's leaders. The government is defending its condemnation of Iran so far, saying it's maintained a consistent position whilst balancing the recent release of 2 Kiwi bloggers. Any additional actions will be decided based on advice from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which Minister Nanaia Mahuta says she expects within the coming days. While they await this response, and as things in Iran continue to heat up, expect to see more of this.
They can't give up, so we won't either.
Alongside this message.
If you believe in feminism, if you believe in human rights, if you believe in equality for everyone, you need to be part of this movement.
Emily Ansell, Pitopito Kōrero, Metro News.
Up next, we look into the misunderstood world of psychosis. Safia Mefa Willage learns about the drug culture that's putting our youth at risk from a man who's faced the consequences.
We all took 1 tab each, went for a walk when it started kind of kicking in. We came back home, and then next thing I know, I'm like in a dreamy state of like not really understanding what's real, what's not. And at the time I thought that I just died on the spot from overdosing or whatever it was. I'm Daniel, I'm 21 years old and I struggle with derealization and psychosis.
Psychosis, a severe mental disorder in which thought and emotions are so impaired that contact is lost with external reality. This is Daniel's reality.
I would just kind of feel like I'm just watching myself, like through my own head, listening to myself talk to other people, like watching myself do these things. And I was so used to just living in the moment before this happened, and then all of a sudden I was like watching myself instead of being myself.
The Ministry of Health shares that 3 in 100 people are likely to experience some form of psychosis within their life, but that Kiwis are more at risk due to a culture of binge drinking and drug use being the norm.
It's normally not the psychosis in the sense of thinking you're Elvis Presley or Jesus Christ, that kind of, or you can read people's minds. It's more the paranoid type that they can read your mind, or that you're being monitored. People are trying to hurt you.
Dr. Simon Adamson is the Deputy Director of Research at the National Addiction Centre, as well as a drug and alcohol psychologist. He says young people's carelessness when it comes to using substances is the real issue here.
So there's quite a bit of normalisation in late teens, early 20s for drug experimentation, and that's where some people can get into trouble.
For Daniel, he can understand this attitude shared amongst youth, at one stage having a similar mindset himself.
And I was taking it a lot, like every weekend literally, and if not do one and then a few days later I'd do another trip, so it was bad. And that was just, I'm sure that's the culture now, and that's terrible.
But now his life has completely changed.
I'd probably get triggered once or twice a day. I would get triggered from things like something new happening out of the ordinary, out of my mundane routine that I would go through. Something happening doesn't usually happen would freak me out, and it would be like, oh no, this is new, so I'm about to find out that I'm dead.
Not only were these episodes frequent, but in the moment they felt life-threatening.
Yeah, I was at home one time, and then my mum wanted me to come outside to check out these garage lights, but this was something that she never asked me to do, so it triggered me, and I just kind of went into a paralyzing panic, freaked out, and I was just ready to see, I don't know, someone come out and tell me that I'm dead and I've been like this the whole time and none of this is real.
So what's being done in the education sector to teach about psychosis and drug use?
I think gone are the days where we try and keep it hush-hush or sweep it under the rug, right? So we know it's going to happen, but how can we help them be safe around that?
Dr. Adamson shares that although more should be done, educating around this topic can actually cause more harm than good.
How to tackle this in a school environment is a tricky thing. The danger of talking about drugs in a school setting is that it just piques people's curiosity, but there are a lot of school-based education programs that have been found to be ineffective. What we know is more effective is allowing young people to develop the skills to find good information, to be assertive and have the confidence to say no to things.
Health teacher Angie Sasifa shares that the health curriculum is picking up on the studies that experts such as Dr. Adamson are discussing, and says that it's taking a new approach to how they teach about drugs.
But I think it is important to talk about the effects, right? They need to know psychosis is a real thing, right? Addiction is a real thing. Overdose is a real thing. So they do need to know that. But it's more be aware of those effects, but here is how we can navigate it.
And now Daniel shares with us a few final words, saying that although distressing, psychosis does get easier.
It does get better with time, and I'm living proof of that. So I think there's still hope.
Safia Mitawulaj, Pitopito Kōrero, Metro News. Coming up after the break, we take a look into how catching the bus may become a little easier.
And put on your fancy hats because we're off to the races.
That's right. We're hoping to see some good-looking people, some betting habits, and some horses. More after the break.
My name's Chris Nicol and I'm head of production for Capital FM Network, doing TV, I'm doing online, I'm doing event audio, and I'm working with a team of 8 people. We make everything, every single sweeper, ident, thing that says what radio station you're listening to, what TV station you're watching. Broadcasting school put me in a scenario where I had to figure things out. Hands-on learning, getting stuck in, teaching yourself stuff. It also prepared me for the sorts of people that you come in contact with in media. and how to deal with situations, especially high stressful situations. The great thing was the tutors were really encouraging and really helpful. They were like senior members of staff in a real radio station. Nowhere else will you get hands-on learning that actually lands you in a real radio station doing real work as part of the course. I have freelanced at some fantastic places and made some really good friends just from being able to turn up and be nice and polite and professional. All of those things is what broadcasting school was really good at versing you in. Being in London, it's a melting pot of creativity and ideas and people. I'm doing stations in Iceland, Germany, America, New Zealand still, which is wonderful. I can't say I expected it to be quite like this, but it's awesome.
Say goodbye to the days of topping up your bus card, because soon all you'll need is your debit card or your phone. The government is introducing a one-stop ticketing solution to all public transport, and as Cameron Joe finds out, it's all starting here in Ōtautahi.
Forgetting your bus card will soon be a thing of the past. Environment Canterbury is rolling out PayWave for public transport in 2024 as a part of a new single payment system across Aotearoa.
With national ticketing, you'll have the same card across the country, which in fact will be your bank card, your credit card or your debit card, or you can procure a national transit card that will work on anyone's PT network.
Something Canterbury will be the first to try out.
Look, we're really excited about being first implementer. Environment Canterbury has a sort of pedigree of innovation in the technology space for public transport.
And riders are all on board.
I think that would be really helpful, especially for people that don't take the bus very often like us.
I'm always losing my card, so for me it works for me. Apple Pay works for me. I've always got my phone in the seat, so yeah.
Government signed a contract with Cubic Transportation Systems last month to implement this national ticketing solution. While this is all about bringing PayWave to our public transport, it may mean saying goodbye to good old cash.
Now, cash fares are the most expensive way to consume public transport, and we've seen an increase in unsociable behaviour across urban centres in New Zealand. That's creating risks and hazards for our drivers, so removing cash is an important factor to consider from a safety perspective.
And it's not just about making it easier to pay. In a statement, Transport Minister Michael Wood says the increased accessibility from this new ticketing system will result in reduced emissions on our roads.
It's fair to say that national ticketing, in our view, is a bit of a game changer. We're removing the barriers of access, and all that leads to less congestion on the roads and reduced emissions.
A future that we're all hoping for. Cameron Joe, Pitopito Kōrero, Metro News.
Young women in Ōtautahi continue to be inspired by the female business owners of shit you should care about. I went to have a chat to the faces behind the world-known media company.
Real good.
Laughs, gelato, and these three smiling faces. The hard workers behind media company Shit You Should Care About continue to inspire young females with their business.
It has shocked me how generous people have been with their time and with their knowledge throughout our whole journey, and I think like the least we can do is kind of pay that forward.
Starting up in lockdown, the Blenheim girls Lucy, Ruby and Olivia birthed the idea of a media company made up of news, politics and culture, an appealing form of media, particularly for young people.
How we could make, you know, the news and things in the news cycle more accessible, and it shouldn't be about the level of education you have or the money to get behind a paywall or anything like that. It should be for everyone.
They produce anything from newsletters to podcasts and Instagram feeds. Here to inspire young women in business, the girls certainly impressed.
Seeing these guys and like the amazing platform and like the global platform they've created is so like, it really makes you feel like I could do this because like we have the same resources they have.
Yeah. It's great to see that there are women behind this kind of organisation because, as they said, they don't actually show who they are that often.
Just to hear about
these like young women who are kind of just like us, made me feel like, you know, if we have an idea that it can actually amount to something concrete.
Their work has grasped the attention of 3.6 million followers on Instagram and some of the girls' favourite celebrities.
Dan Levy or Bella Hadid or Blake Lively. Or Phineas.
Or Phineas, yeah.
The girls claiming a lot of their work ethic came from growing up in the roots of Blenheim.
When you come from a place like Blenheim or a smaller town, you don't have everything at your fingertips, so you kind of have to dream a little bit bigger.
The turnout of these eager young people, a clear indication that people really do give a shit. Mackenzie Jennings, Pitopito Kōrero, Metro News.
Cantabrians were looking glam and dapper yesterday for the first day of Cup Week at Addington Raceway. Our reporters Jordan Dunn and Daniel Parisi went down to the tracks to see what it was all about.
So can you give some advice to aspiring journalists? How do you take on a big event like this?
Okay, the first advice I'd give to you is to make sure you don't give too much time to people who are really drunk, just like before.
To you! Oh my god.
Let's go, the broadcasting school!
Okay. Hi, I'm Jordan.
I'm Daniel.
This is Metro News Uncut. Tell me about the Addington Raceway, Daniel.
This is actually the first event that's been run in a while, because last year they had to only stick it to, I think it was around 1,000 people. But this year it's 20,000 people expected to come today, which is a large number.
That's one of the largest numbers.
And this is the first event to kick off the week, which is exciting.
We're going to be showing off some of the coolest characters at Addington today.
I've not seen one. I've not seen one horse. Hey.
Hi, my name's Cameron. Everyone calls me Cool Cat.
Why do they call you Cool Cat?
Because I'm a cool guy and I like to have cool things going on, and that's why they call me Cool Cat.
So, are you betting today?
Only on love.
I've lost Jordan, and I'm currently... Oh, there he is.
6 and 11, Quinello pays 94.
Hello, I lost you.
Yeah, I lost you too. I missed you.
We're recording.
Oh, we are? Okay, so we're just about to cross the tracks. It's going to be a dangerous feat because there's horses. Jordan doesn't believe there are.
So I'm right here on the racetrack where rumour has it that this is where the horses go. Haven't seen any yet. Still unsure about this whole horse thing.
Have you guys ever seen a horse before?
Yeah. I used to ride them. Yeah, I have. Yes.
There's horses here?
Horses are not real, unicorns are. No, horses, only the horse that I like. No, they are real because I put $30 to win on a horse in race number 10 and I'm praying to God that it comes through.
So the weather.
It's a cloudy morning and that, which we can see.
Okay. We're playing a game called Rent It or Buy It. Did you rent or buy?
Buy. What?
Did you rent or buy your dress?
Buy.
Rent or buy?
Buy.
What are rent or buy?
Buy.
I'm seeing them on the TV, but I'm not seeing them in real life, so I'm still not convinced that there are any horses.
Met Service kind of did lie to us because they said it was going to not be cloudy, but it's all good, we forgive and forget.
Beautiful meal Daniel and I are going to share later, intimately.
Sessional weights are out underneath of Mickey Montana, and a length and a half away last at perfect.
I'm grateful enough to be... No, you have it.
Hey, really want someone to feed him some chips right now?
Just eat the chips away.
Alright. I think Pierre wants one as well.
Yeah, I'll have one.
Gotta have chips on cup day.
Okay, Daniel, can you give us your highlight of the day?
I think my highlight of the day definitely was getting to talk to everybody here.
Mine was probably seeing a horse for the first time. Oh, you're kidding me.
They are real.
It's just...
How do you feel about after seeing a horse?
Pretty cool. It's not bad. It's just a shorter giraffe. You remember Cool Cat from the start? We caught up with him again at the very end. He had a fun story for us. Now, the question that everyone wants to know, did Cool Cat find love today?
I haven't found love just yet. Love is in the air, but it's not quite there.
Just to ask, were you paying attention to the races?
Didn't even watch one, no.
Oh.
It's too encapsulated with all the exciting people.
I guess this is our sign off now.
I'm Jordan Dunn.
I'm Daniel Parisi.
Pitopito Kōrero.
Metro News.
Uncut.
That's all for Pitopito Kōrero this episode. I'm Mackenzie Jennings. Thank you for joining us. For more, head to metronews.co.nz and we'll see you again next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Ka kite anō.